Coming up on Cronkite News, early voting starts today. We have the details on how you can cast your vote.
Plus, the Phoenix City Council opposes Arizona's abortion ban and takes steps to protect women. What the vote means for those seeking an abortion in the city.
And later, ASU inducted their first Hall of Fame class since 2019. Find out which Sun Devil greats were selected for the honor.
Cronkite News starts now.
Good evening and welcome to Cronkite News on Arizona PBS. I'm Haley Ziomek.
And I'm Ryan Tismaneski. Thank you for joining us. Early voting starts today in Arizona. Voters can vote in person, by mail, or even drop off their ballot at a ballot drop box. Cronkite News reporter Connor McGill is out at the Maricopa County Elections Office with more on early voting.
As of 2 p.m., roughly 200 ballots have been cast in Maricopa County. Behind me, one of 13 official ballot drop boxes where voters can simply drive up and place their ballot in the box. On this first day of early voting, there isn't a whole lot of activity from voters. Still, at the Maricopa County Elections Department, officials are ready for what's ahead.
Today's a pretty exciting day. Early voting has begun for voters around Arizona as well as right here in Maricopa County. So 1.9 million ballots went out to voters on the active early voting list, and 12 voting sites throughout the county are now open for people to cast their ballot for the 2022 general election.
Senator Mark Kelly, who was up for re-election, was out at an early voting center on the ASU downtown campus, encouraging people to vote early.
We have a stronger democracy when more people vote, and so I encourage folks to get out there.
While most ballot box sites close at 5 or 6 p.m., at least 2 sites are open for 24 hours. Maricopa County also provides live video feeds of the ballot boxes and inside the ballot tabulation center in order to provide public access to the process. If you requested a mail-in ballot, officials here at the Maricopa County Department of Elections say to expect it to arrive within the next couple of days. If you want to track the ballot status, you can go to beballotready.vote. In Phoenix, Connor McGill, Cronkite News.
The gap in Arizona voter preferences for Senate is widening. A new poll out today from OH Predictive Insights shows a drop in support for Republican Blake Masters and an increase in support for Libertarian Mark Victor. The surge comes after last week's debate where all 3 Senate candidates discussed a number of issues from abortion to Arizona water. In the new poll, Democrat Mark Kelly now has a 13-point lead over Masters. Kelly sits at 46%, Masters at 33%, and Victor at 15%. But analysts say Victor is unlikely to get that much of the vote in November as third-party candidates consistently underperform their polling. Critics also say this poll is not the most reliable, having surveyed less than 700 voters.
Some abortion providers in Arizona started practicing again last week, and it looks like these procedures will be allowed to continue for at least the next month. The Arizona Court of Appeals blocked enforcement of the state's near total abortion ban on Friday. The court says it won't make its final decision on the ban until at least November 17th. Until then, abortions within the first 15 weeks of pregnancy will be allowed to proceed. Planned Parenthood of Arizona resumed services in Tucson already and will do the same in Phoenix and Flagstaff. Camelback Family Planning in Phoenix has also resumed procedures.
A new resolution is in place that impacts how Phoenix will enforce abortion laws. Cronkite News reporter Alyssa Munoz tells us what that means for the public.
The Phoenix City Council held a meeting that discussed how they will respond to the new Arizona abortion law.
People are encouraged to break this law.
Overturning women's right to privacy is criminal.
Community and council members expressed their opinions on a new resolution that would make abortion a low priority for law enforcement in Phoenix. The resolution opposes the recent Supreme Court decision on abortion in Arizona News abortion law. The city says it wants to save resources. Council members passed the resolution with a vote of 6-2.
We're sending a message that we are not going to spend resources investigating or arresting doctors, nurses, pharmacists. We want to be a city that makes it easier for women and all of our residents to get good health care.
At the end of the day, there is another viewpoint out there that believes that this is a true baby. It is a true human being. It deserves to be protected. It deserves the same rights that all of us do.
According to the City of Phoenix, the state cannot force a municipality to enforce the law. The police can prioritize enforcement based on many factors such as available resources. In the newsroom, Alyssa Munoz, Cronkite News.
As inflation continues to rise along with interest rates, President Joe Biden talked about whether the country is headed toward a recession. Investors and financial experts have been warning that Americans should prepare to enter a recession. On Monday, the CEO of JP Morgan Chase said he expects to enter a recession in the next 6 to 9 months. However, in an interview with CNN, President Biden says he doesn't expect it to happen.
There's no guarantee that they're going to be. I don't think there will be a recession. If it is, it'll be a very slight recession. That is, we'll move down slightly.
A poll from the National Association for Business Economics found 72% of economists expect a recession to begin by the middle of next year.
Still ahead on Cronkite News, casting a ballot in any language. We'll show you how many indigenous tribes are working to translate voting materials for the upcoming election.
Plus, your kid might now be eligible for an Omicron booster after this decision.
Right up in here and start having some fun.
Such a thrill to be able to do this.
Recreation is the gateway drug to conservation.
How do you create that perfect straight edge?
You can do anything. History is today.
Chasing the American dream.
Experience something personal.
A place of imagination.
I can go anywhere I want to go.
You guys are just going to love it.
An entertainment experience unlike anything.
There's something for everyone with Passport on the PBS Video app.
On Masterpiece Mystery.
Evil can find its roots so easily in an English village.
The landscape of criminal investigation.
Murder, almost certainly.
Modern policing methods.
We endeavour to do our best.
We're working hard to solve this case.
And to make sure justice gets done.
It's a new adventure.
And the rest, as they say, is mystery.
I can hardly wait.
Art was one of the powers that made life life. I think we all believed that.
I'm gonna kick down every single door. I'm gonna show you what you never ever seen before. So control you, I'm gonna show you.
This is a real life story of a real live person.
This was my only connection to my culture.
Fight the power.
Our stories deserve to be heard.
You're passionate and you respect your heritage. That is a perfect recipe.
Now is the time for the Reformation. Now is the time to rebuild the nation.
That's amazing.
You're making me cry.
Some girls can go out there and just steal a spotlight.
This is the moment that we've all been waiting for.
Everyone has something to contribute to humanity. The arts are the thing that does that.
I couldn't have said it better myself.
According to the Voting Rights Act, election offices are required to translate voting materials into different languages, depending on the population of those speakers in the state. For Native communities across the country, the effort to translate is not easy. Cronkite News reporter Alexia Stanbridge spoke with Indigenous people across Arizona about the translation efforts and what it means to vote in a first language.
It says
Maxine Wadsworth is a translator for Navajo County elections. Her job is to translate voting information into the Hopi language. Many indigenous languages were not originally written, so Wadsworth translates election materials orally. Voters can then listen to these audio translations when they vote.
The screen is now on.
Wadsworth spends hours going through each translation.
Makes it very challenging when you're asked to interpret a document which generally has no place in Hopi language.
Rosita Kelly works for the Navajo Elections Administration. She says it's not as simple as a word-for-word translation.
It would take certain
maybe 2 or 3 sentences in Navajo to describe a word.
For instance, in the Hopi language, there aren't single terms for certain government roles.
The governor is Itatitskwai Arizona Sisuvek who's the leader of the state.
Of all the Native communities here in Arizona, Hopi Nation is one of the few that get their state ballots translated into their native language.
3 of the 22 Native American nations in Arizona have an option to vote in their native language. Verlin Jose, a member of the Tohono O'odham Nation, says he remembers a time when they used to offer oral translation of election information.
They were burnt to CDs and they were given out and placed at public locations so people could pick one up and take it home and play it for grandpa or grandma, whatever.
The translations are no longer offered. Jose says it's unfortunate because he believes community members understand their native language better.
Mainly the elders, mainly the people that live in communities that are remote who are still very fluent, and it's what they speak every day.
And while Jose believes elders would benefit the most, he thinks translations would help voter turnout overall.
Because people will more understand what is actually on the ballot.
In Hopi Nation, the election turnout for the general election was fairly low.
The Hopi Tribal Registrar Karen Shupla says they have better turnout for tribal elections, which are not translated, but have much simpler ballots with only candidate names. State and general elections include propositions, which can be confusing in any language.
What does this proposition mean? What does tax mean? What does, different, whatever the propositions are.
The goal, making it easier for everyone to participate in the electoral process. In any language. Alexia Stambridge, Cronkite News.
Election officials also tell us that they help voters in person at the polls by speaking in their indigenous language.
The Omicron COVID-19 booster is now approved for kids ages 5 to 12. This morning, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention signed off on the approval after the FDA expanded the use of the booster to the young age group. Children in the age group can get their booster from Moderna or Pfizer BioNTech as long as they are 2 months past their primary vaccine set or initial booster. Health experts say that as we enter the winter season, we could see a peak of more than 1,000 COVID-related deaths unless 80% of the population is boosted.
It's been a hot and dry week so far in the valley, but there is some relief in sight. Evan List joins us from the Cronkite News Weather Center with more on when things might finally start to cool off.
Yeah, it's going to be a very interesting week weather-wise in the Valley of the Sun. Hot and dry going into the weekend. However, we have this cutoff low sitting off the coast of California right now. As we approach the weekend, Saturday in particular, that low is going to approach the desert Southwest, increasing our cloud cover, increasing our rain chances, and giving us a marked decrease in temperature, some of the coolest temperatures of the season thus far. But take a look at this. It's going to be hot and then pretty darn cold compared to what we're used to. 95 degrees on Wednesday, then upper 90s for the Valley of the Sun Thursday and Friday before 10 degrees lower on Saturday, 88. And then on Sunday, forecast 10 degrees lower than that, 78 degrees. That's kind of where we're supposed to be in winter in terms of an average high, just to give you a reference point here. Taking a look at what's going to be happening in other parts of the state before that cool down while we're still in the heating up pattern tomorrow. It's going to be the mid to upper 90s in the Colorado River Valley, low 70s in Flagstaff, low 80s in Sedona. Then, as I said, in the Valley of the Sun, we're going to be at the mid to upper 90s. Taking a look at our 8-day forecast, it's a tale of two sides of the weekend here. Very hot and dry for Thursday and Friday. Then we have that upper level low influence our region, pushing down our temperatures quite a bit. Then take a look, an absolute stunner on tap for next weekend on the other side of the weekend. We can't wait for it. I'm Evan List in the Cronkite News Weather Center.
I'm Emily Bernstein. Coming up after the break, I'll have your Cronkite Sports Report. Tonight is a monumental moment for women's hockey at ASU. We'll have more when we come back.
Right up in here and start having some fun.
Such a thrill to be able to do this.
Recreation is the gateway drug to conservation.
How do you create that perfect straight edge? You can do anything. History is today.
Chasing the American dream.
Experience something personal.
A place of imagination.
I can go anywhere I want to go.
You guys are just going to love it.
An entertainment experience unlike anything.
There's something for everyone with Passport on the PBS Video app.
On Masterpiece Mystery. Evil can find its roots so easily in an English village. The landscape of criminal investigation.
Murder, almost certainly.
Modern policing methods.
We endeavor to do our best.
We're working hard to solve this case.
And to make sure justice gets done.
It's a new adventure.
And the rest, as they say, is
Mystery. I can hardly wait.
Art was one of the powers that made life life. I think we all believed that.
This is a real life story of a real live person.
This was my only connection to my culture.
Fight the power.
Our stories deserve to be heard.
You're passionate and you respect your heritage. That is a perfect recipe.
Now is the time for the Reformation. Now is the time to rebuild the nation.
That's amazing. You're making me cry.
Some girls can go out there and just steal a spotlight.
This is the moment that we've all been waiting for.
Everyone has something to contribute to humanity. The arts are the thing that does that.
I couldn't have said it better myself.
Welcome back to the Cronkite Sports Report. I'm Emily Bernstein. The first ever hockey game at Mullett Arena is set to be played tonight, and it will be the women's team that hits the ice to open the arena. Cronkite News reporter Joseph Furtado has more on their debut.
With all the buzz and excitement surrounding Mullett Arena, the anticipation has reached its peak. It's finally time for the players to hit the ice. The news was announced last week over Twitter that ASU women's hockey will be the first team to take the ice at the new multi-purpose arena, hosting their division rival GCU. Head coach Lindsay Ellis says getting the chance to play at this new arena is an honor.
You look around the ACHA and even some of the NCAA, and they're not even getting these opportunities. So we're really excited, and it's all thanks to the men's program and how they support us that we're able to get these opportunities.
As for the Sun Devils, this will be another test for the group as they square off against GCU for the first time this season. The Sun Devils will be looking to build off their 2-0 start to the year and try to leave Mullett Arena with a win.
Every game against GCU, it's a hard battle right until the very end, so it's going to be really fun to be able to battle in front of a huge crowd.
Well, everybody has been waiting for Mullett Arena to finally open up, and the doors will be tonight at 5 p.m. for fans to come on in here and get the chance to watch some Sun Devil hockey. Tickets to the game are free, with puck drop being slated for 7 p.m. In Tempe, Joseph Furtado, Cronkite News.
ASU men's hockey will host Colgate in back-to-back games for their home opener this weekend. Last Saturday, ASU football upset number 21 ranked Washington to notch their first win under interim head coach Sean Aguano. Starting quarterback Emory Jones had to leave the game in the second quarter after a hit to the head and was replaced by backup Trenton Bourget. The Huskies and Sun Devils were tied going into the fourth quarter, but ASU came away with a 45-38 victory. Bourget's performance Saturday sparked a potential quarterback controversy.
To understand that my teammate, believes in me and the coaches believe in me and I have their trust, and, hopefully that, and I have all 100% trust in them as well. So I'm just going to try to continue to do my job the rest of the season and hopefully help us out.
We'll see who the best person is and my best quarterback position is. And I've always told them I would play the best player, no matter the age, no matter size, no matter what it is. I'll play the best football player that will get our team to win.
The Sun Devils have a bye this week and will visit Stanford on October 22nd. Since 1975, the Sun Devil Sports Hall of Fame has honored the most accomplished athletes in Arizona State history. Cronkite News reporter Adam Schwager was on hand as 7 new athletes and 2 storied school employees were inducted into the Hall of Fame and Hall of Distinction this past weekend.
This year's Sun Devil Sports Hall of Fame induction class is the largest since 2011 and marks the end of a COVID hiatus that saw no new inductees the previous 2 years. For this group, the honor was well worth the wait.
An athlete, you're trained just to stay on the grind, right? Just to focus on what's in front of you, and every so often you can look up and celebrate a moment, right? And so that was a moment, just getting that phone call, just being recognized as one of the all-time greats here at ASU.
Besides wrestler Anthony Robles, this year's class included swimmer Caitlin Andrew, golfer Anna Nordquist, track and field athletes Jessica Presley and Ryan Whiting, football legend Terrell Suggs, and senior associate athletic director Don Bakke. Additionally, women's basketball great Breanne January and her former coach Charlie Turner Thorne.
She's not only coached me, she's mentored me, supported me, inspired me for decades now, and I'm just glad to be here to be able to celebrate her and honor her legacy.
ASU started their weekend-long celebration here on Friday afternoon, where they inducted the 9 distinguished members into the Arizona State Athletics Hall of Fame before being honored at halftime of Saturday's game versus Washington.
It's overwhelming. It's very flattering. You know what I'm saying? It's I played so long ago. I don't think anybody remembered, but it's good to still be appreciated for the work that you did. And, I'm still taking it all in. I'm very humble, man. Very flattered.
Sun Devil fans can read up on the achievements of the class of 2022 on their plaques in the concourse level of the University Athletic Center. In Tempe, Adam Schwager, Cronkite News.
That's it for today's Cronkite Sports Report. Back to you, Ryan.
Coming up after the break, a Scottsdale mother and daughter were recently in Washington, D.C. for a competition. But traveling across the country is a challenge when you have to bring a horse along. Find out how this team approaches these competitions while thousands of miles away from home.
We tell ourselves stories as a nation.
These stories need to be highlighted. They need to be explored.
We're the dreamers.
How serious is America's commitment to looking at its history? How can we learn from the past?
Douglas said, "You're going to look me in the eye and see my humanity."
It's illuminating. I'm seeing the expansiveness of my history. It's pretty great.
There's so much richness to Black life and Black culture.
I think the story of Muslims in America is the story of America.
Tonight, they are free.
I cannot imagine how excited he must have been.
It's a wonderful feeling. This is why we do this.
It makes me even more committed to struggling for a better world.
Welcome. How utterly charming. Are you ready to get it going? How does an English fan come to the Italian Riviera?
A fresh start.
Can I trust you? Are you ready for the show?
You can't be afraid to show them what you've got, what you want.
Are we having a party?
Of course, the more the merrier.
I love this place. It's my home now.
Trouble in paradise.
I can't do it on my own.
This is revenge.
There are consequences.
Be careful.
Nothing like this. Nothing like this. Oh.
You look like you need rescuing.
Don't we all?
What is it that you want?
I just want to let go.
I choose how I live.
There is the passion that I've been looking for.
It's not unusual for athletes to travel across the country to compete, but it can be a challenge when the sport involves bringing a horse. That didn't stop a Scottsdale mother and daughter who are on the East Coast this week for equestrian competitions. Cronkite News reporter Haley Smilo caught up with them outside Washington.
It's a sport with a language all its own.
I started competing when I was 10 or 11.
Is Ashley Kaplan.
Started eventing, and then I did
dressage and the Arabian circuit.
What Ashley Kaplan is talking about are equestrian events, something she and her daughter, Sophia Baker, traveled more than 2,000 miles from their home in Scottsdale this month for competition on the East Coast. First stop, the Capital Challenge Horse Show in the Washington suburbs for English-style show jumping equestrian events.
It's my last year in juniors, so I wanted to go to the indoors for the first time and just kind of check that off my bucket list.
Competition is nothing new to the pair, who have been competing for years.
I grew up on the ranch, and I just started riding at a young age.
While both have traveled for competitions before, this year was the first time either had competed in the Capital Challenge Horse Show. That presented its own challenges to 18-year-old Baker.
It was really cold. I was just like freezing all day.
But that does not appear to have affected her performance. Baker and her horse, Shiz Jolie, competed Saturday and Sunday and came away with a win in one class, beating 38 other riders from all over the country to win the outdoor large junior hunter 3-foot 3-inch 15 through 17 division.
It was amazing. It's my first time here, so it was really cool to win.
Kaplan and her horse Givenchy weren't so lucky. They finished without placing in the amateur owner hunter 36 and over 3-foot 6-inch division. But they'll have more chances to compete this month. Mother and daughter and horses are headed to Harrisburg for the Pennsylvania National Horse Show this week and will be competing in Kentucky later this month. In Washington, Haley Smilo, Cronkite News.
That's it for Cronkite News tonight. Thanks for joining us. For top Arizona stories anytime, go to cronkitenews.azpbs.org.